was my first solo trip, and Salt Lake City seemed like the perfect destination for a blend of urban exploration and serene landscapes. I booked an Airbnb just outside the city center, drawn to its charm and the promise of a more personal, cozy experience than a hotel could offer. The listing, managed by an elderly gentleman with glowing reviews, seemed ideal for my week-long retreat. I arrived late in the afternoon, the golden hues of the setting sun casting long shadows across the front porch of the quaint, slightly aged house. The air was crisp, carrying a hint of the coming fall. I retrieved the key from the lockbox as instructed, my heart filled with the excitement of the adventures that lay ahead. The inside of the house was as charming as the pictures promised, vintage furniture mixed with modern amenities, a perfect blend of past and present. I decided to settle on the sofa for a bit, soaking in the quiet, almost sacred atmosphere of the house. The exhaustion from my travels quickly caught up with me, and before I knew it, I had drifted into a deep sleep. I awoke to the unsettling realization that the front door was wide open, a cold breeze sneaking its way inside, making the curtains dance eerily. Confusion and a faint trace of fear gripped me. I was certain I had locked the door. A thorough check of the house revealed nothing amiss, no sign of any intruder. Chalking it up to my own forgetfulness, I double-checked the locks and went to bed, the unease settling in the pit of my stomach. In the dead of night, a soft creaking sound jolted me awake. My heart raced as I strained my ears against the silence that followed, wondering if I had imagined the noise. Then it came again, a faint, deliberate sound, like footsteps tiptoeing just outside my bedroom door. The realization that someone else was in the house with me was paralyzing. Could it be the Airbnb owner? The thought was a small comfort until I remembered the host's profile picture, an elderly man, unlikely to be moving with such stealth. Adrenaline coursing through my veins, I grabbed the lamp from the bedside table, the only weapon I could think of. As I swung the door open, prepared for confrontation, the sounds ceased abruptly. The house was silent, save for the pounding of my own heart. A quick search revealed nothing. The intruder, if there indeed was one, had vanished into the night. I called the police, my hands trembling as I explained the situation. They arrived quickly but found no evidence of forced entry, no sign of anyone having been inside. The open door could have been an oversight, they suggested, an invitation to a curious passerby or a would-be thief dissuaded by my presence. The incident left me shaken, the shadows of the house now seeming menacing rather than comforting. I could not shake the feeling of being watched, of whispers just beyond my hearing. When morning broke, I contacted the Airbnb host, recounting the night's events. The concern in his voice was genuine, his confusion matching my own. He offered a full refund, insisting this had never happened before and urging me to find a safer place for the remainder of my stay. I packed my bags, the relief of leaving the house mingling with a sense of defeat. The hotel room I moved into was impersonal, sterile, but most importantly, it felt safe. The experience had tarnished my view of solo travel, a reminder that sometimes the most terrifying stories are those we live through ourselves. The whispers of the night remain with me, a chilling reminder of the unknown that lies in the shadows. It was supposed to be just a stopover, a serene break on my journey to what I hoped would be the adventure of my vacation. I chose a small Airbnb on the outskirts of the city, one of those places that promise a peaceful refuge from urban chaos, even if just for one night. My arrival was smooth. The house seemed welcoming and exactly as the pictures promised. After a light dinner and a few hours immersed in a book, I decided it was time to rest. The silence of the place was comforting, a welcome contrast to the hustle and bustle of my daily routine. It was the sound of the doorbell that ripped me from the arms of sleep. Disoriented and confused, I looked at the clock beside the bed. It was almost 3 a.m. Who could it be? Crouched beside the door, I heard male voices.
Sorry to bother you, but I think there's been a mistake with our booking. We're scheduled for tonight.
A shiver ran down my spine. Some kind of mistake? It was possible, but something about the situation made me alarmed. The voice seemed forced, as if trying too hard to be convincing. I slowly backed away, looking for my phone to contact the host, when movement outside caught my attention. Peering cautiously through the window, what I saw froze my blood. A group of people, some masked, was gathering in the darkness, clearly not here over a booking mistake. My heart raced. They were planning something, and I was alone, vulnerable. On survival instinct, I locked all the doors and windows, turned off the lights, and hid. My finger trembled as I dialed the police, whispering my situation and location, praying they would find me in time. The noise of the break-in came like thunder, shattering the night's quiet. I could hear their footsteps, their systematic search through the house. Fear paralyzed me as I crouched under the bed, fearing discovery at any moment. Waiting for the police felt like an eternity. When they finally arrived, it was with the comforting sound of sirens and authoritative voices. The intruders, realizing the police had arrived, attempted to flee, but not before taking some of my belongings and vindicatively damaging my car. The explanation from the police was disheartening. It was a known scheme in the area, an opportunistic crime that preyed on unsuspecting travelers. I felt violated, my sense of security shattered. What was meant to be a sanctuary became a nightmare. The trauma of that night haunts me to this day, a cruel reminder that danger can lurk where we least expect it. The Airbnb, my temporary stop, turned into the setting for a horror story I would never wish to experience again. I began renting our property through Airbnb about 2 years ago. Located in a highly sought-after tourist area, it seemed like the perfect decision to take advantage of the location and earn some extra income. My wife and I were excited about the idea, and initially, everything went incredibly well. Guests came and went, leaving positive reviews and sharing their enjoyable experiences. It was a peaceful period until the arrival of a particular guest who would completely change our perception of renting our home. The guest in question booked the house for a week. On the third day, I received a message from him complaining that there was no water. Finding the problem odd, since we had never had plumbing issues before, I immediately drove to the property to investigate. Upon arrival, I noticed 2 unfamiliar cars parked in the driveway, which I found peculiar since the guest had mentioned he would be staying alone. Entering the house, it was silent, and a quick check revealed that the guest was not there. I went down to the basement to check the water system, thinking it was a simple issue of resetting the system or something similar. However, what I encountered there was something I could never have imagined. 3 unknown men were in the basement. The air was thick with tension, and one of them was holding what appeared to be a gun. The shock of the scene momentarily paralyzed me. They seemed as surprised to see me as I was to see them. One of them, who wasn't holding the gun, started talking, trying to reassure me it was just a misunderstanding. But the cold look in the eyes of the man with the gun suggested otherwise. I knew I had to act cautiously. With my heart racing and trying to keep calm, I told them I was going to leave and that there would be no problem. They let me go, but the veiled threat in the air was clear. I went straight to the police, reporting what had happened. The following hours were a blur of police activity and investigations. The guest who had rented the house disappeared without a trace, and we soon discovered that the card used for the booking was stolen. The men in the basement had left, taking with them some valuable items from the house. The incident left my wife and I shaken and fearful. The vulnerability of having strangers in our home, combined with the violence of the encounter, was too much for us. We decided that we would no longer rent the property through Airbnb. We opted for a traditional lease, hoping to have more control over who enters our home. This event not only robbed us of material possessions, but also of our sense of security in our own home. We learned the hard way that, while the sharing economy can offer wonderful opportunities, it can also bring with it unimaginable risks.